All right, so this is a Josh Journal check-in. I'm getting ready to go to Lyon in a couple of days. Today is Tuesday. I'm leaving on Thursday to go play on Saturday in France. Format's going to be standard. I'm going to be playing Kona Combo with it. I'm very excited for it. It should be a lot of fun. I get to play and just infinitely balance my meringue regions to draw all my deck and do all the things and make my lands infinitely large infinites. So that's a lot of fun. I've got some footage of my plays tonight. I went 3-0 tonight at our usual Tuesday night. But yeah, I had a good time. I really like the combo list. I'm looking forward to playing them more this year. I'm going to play nothing but combo is the plan this year, mainly because combo requires me to know what my opponents are doing and to be able to play well into the meta and have a good understanding of when I'm safe to combo and when I'm not. It requires a lot of format knowledge, a lot of good technical play, and I really want to leverage that this year. So I'm excited to play a whole bunch of combo. Combo is kind of my favorite thing to play. I can play tempo, I can play aggro, I can play control, but combo and mid-range combo specifically, where it gets to do other stuff and then kind of get you at the end, is my favorite way to play. So you see that when I play Monstro Combo, you see it when I play other things, like Blue-Red Storm is kind of in that vein too. But yeah, it's all stuff I love to do. I'm excited to go play some more. I've got some footage of the games I'm playing, and I'll do a little bit of a deck walkthrough as well too, just so you know what I'm looking at. And yeah, I'm excited. Gonna go play in France, and then after that, go do some Pokemon stuff. So it's gonna be a busy couple of weeks, but I'm looking forward to it. And we're back at it again, Kona Combo. So as you may have known, I love this deck. It's a lot of fun. Why this deck? Because with Kona and Omniscience, we can draw through our entire deck, generate infinite loops, and just draw all of our cards, make our creatures infinitely big, bounce all our opponent's stuff, and just have a mitt full of counters on the next turn. It's backbreaking, it's fast, and it's one of the best things that I love to do in the format right now. So let's get into the list and talk about it. So it's on the back of this guy, Kona Rescue Beastie. He is a 4/3, so not super remarkable, but what is remarkable is that if he is tapped during your second main phase, you may put a permanent card, any card, doesn't matter what it is, from your hand into play. The ideal one is Omniscience, but we've got other ones like Meringue, River Regent that are also super impactful when you're playing them on turn 4. How do we tap them? We've got these cool station lands that basically say, you can tap a creature to station it and get an effect and do stuff. We don't care about the effect. We just care about the Kona that he's tapped. This makes our life way easier, so we can trigger him on the turn he comes out. So, that being said, why this list? Well, Kona is awesome for cheating in Omniscience, but also we get to play 4 of one of my favorite cards, Meringue River Regent. He's a 6/7. When he comes in, he bounces 2 non-land permanents. It allows you to fully take control of the board, cycle your own things, and if you have 2 of them in play, you can play 1 Meringue, bounce 2 things, play the second Meringue, bounce the original Meringue back to your hand, and then bounce something else, and then you can bounce the other Meringue again and just loop Meringues over and over. So once you hit 2 Meringues, you can just infinitely bounce the entire board while generating just a ton of value. And if you've got a Rolling Dragonstorm in play, every time you play a Meringue, you bounce a dragon back. Whenever you play a dragon, you bounce the Rolling Dragonstorm back to your hand, and then you just play it over and over again. So if you got Omniscience and 2 Meringues and a Rolling Dragonstorm, you can just draw through your entire deck. Also, the other reason to play this deck is you get to play 4 Stock Up, 4 Consult the Star Charts, some of the best draw engines in the game and standard right now. So they're basically how you dig to your answer. So you're looking to survive the early aggressive push from your opponent, and then just at some point draw a million cards and find a way to win. To prevent that early aggressive rush, you've got Unauthorized Exit, which is great for answering early turn things, removing permanents that you can maybe shut off your combo. But also it's really good of just like you can play it targeting your Meringue to reset it, to put it back to your hand. If you've got a Rolling Dragonstorm and you're just trying to dig a little deeper, you can Unauthorized Exit your Dragonstorm, put it back, serve a 1, and then play Dragonstorm to draw 2 more. It's a really flexible card that does a lot of stuff in the deck. And additionally, we also have just 4 Dispelling Exhale. It's counter target spell unless they pay 2. If you show them a dragon, behold my stuff. Instead, it counters it for 4 and just gives you a lot of flexibility on. So, nice role player card. And here's my little techie inclusion. He's been seeing play in a lot of other stuff, but Badger Mole Cub is phenomenal in this deck. I had struggled early when I was playing this of playing a card that was impactful in the first on turn 2 that bought me turn against like aggressive aggro rushes. This guy's great. He comes down. He's a 2/2 body that makes a 1/1 body that can jump and then come back to play for us. But he also allows us to go off on turn 3 because we can go pay turn 1, play a station land. Turn 2, play a Badger Mole Cub. Turn 3, play a land. Attack the earthbended land with the bat and the to play Kona. So you have 4 mana on turn 3, and it's just a phenomenally way to blow out your opponent. And the rest of the deck is just your 4 of each station land, and our colors: 4 Breeding Pool, 4 Willowverge Thicket, 4 basic islands, and then 4 counter souls for counter magic, and also to make your badgers and your beasts a little more castable, because sometimes you're prioritizing a lot of blue pips in this deck, so sometimes just having the extra green source untapped is super nice to have. But that's the list. I'm excited about it. Let's get into some gameplay and see how I did today. All right, so this is game 2 of the night for me. I won the die roll, so I'm on the play here. And I'm not quite sure what Ez was on. I played him earlier on the weekend, and he was playing blue, white, red control. But here my hand looks good. I've got an early Badger Cub. I've got some counter magic and a dragon. I'm feeling pretty solid, so no mulligans for me. Ezra's going to think it over a little bit to figure out what he's looking for. I get my little buddy to help me out and look at my hand again, pick up bad habits. But yeah, so in this sort of matchup, when I don't know what's going on, I want to prioritize having something aggressive in early play. So the first play here is the station land on the green one, because that way I can play the Willowverge in my hand, have it be untapped, and then play, a Badger to have protection. So he led with a Cavern of Souls, which means that the 2 Dispelling Exhales in my hand feel real bad now. So I would normally hold up the Dispelling Exhale to be able to have some interactivity for his first play, but here that's just not reasonable because he's just got too much to go on. He plays an Earthbender, he makes this guy big, he's going to punch me for 3 here. I could block with a Badger Mole Cub, but it's not worth it at the moment. And I get super lucky and almost get the Kona on turn 3. Don't get it, so I just pass back to him. Here I've got no real rush, I'm just kind of hanging out. The Kona to put in a Meringue River region will be end most of the game here. So when he plays his guy, I want to respond to that because I don't want to give him the double trigger. So before that actually resolves, I'm going to unauthorized exit to bounce his guy back to his hand. I'll get to Surveil. I debate leaving it on top or bottom. I think I'm bending it, and yeah, because I just don't need more lands. He punches me for 3 again. And I'm good with that because on this turn we're just going to untap and unload on him. So here I'm going to play a Cavern, we're going to play a Kona. Kona's going to station itself to land, and then I'm going to use the second main trigger to put into Meringue River Regent to bounce both of his things. And I'm also going to station twice to turn it fully on. I don't really need it, but it's just nice to have as an option because it can actually generate a fair bit of mana late game. So now I'm in a position where I become the aggressor. I've got a lot of big dudes, and I've got time now that if he doesn't answer the Kona, I can just dig through my deck for the Omniscience or just more card draw effects to just keep trying to find more stuff to put into play to pressure him down. Because he'll rebuild his board here. I think he debates a little bit of if he wants to sequence it slightly differently, but yeah, in the end he ends up kind of getting there and playing a bunch of dudes out with it, which I'm sure the plan next turn is just to go wide. Here I'm not helping myself any because I just keep drawing lands that don't do anything. So here we're going to send for 10. I'm hoping that he chump blocks here, so that I can kill one of his dudes, because I have his backup Kona in my hand, so the other one's kind of irrelevant. So we'll just kill the guy who makes some mana. Leaves him with a 1-2, and here I could play the other Kona in my hand, but I don't feel the need to. So I think I just, I think I actually could have missed out here because I think there's a line where I could have activated. Yeah, I definitely missed out here where I could have activated my guy to be able to put a Kona in with the station land, making me 4 mana instead of 3. But I also here get to get super cheeky and counter his thing, point to a dragon, make it cost 4. He goes for another guy, and I get to get the other one, so I get to actually get a fair bit of value with it. So yeah, I think the plan was to potentially have both Dispelling Exhales up for it, which is what ended up happening, which felt pretty good. So here I've got the option to just kind of punch in with the River Regent, just kind of keep chunking them down, which I don't hate the idea of here. Because here I realize I can do the tricky thing of play the Kona, swing for 6. Because I don't really have anything else to do, I just kind of pass here. Because all I'm really looking for is just something to close out the rest of the game, because my 4/3s are bigger than his guys. He can play a bunch of dudes, but I'm firmly in a nice commanding board state, and if I get any card draw spell at the top here, I feel in a really solid position. I actually haven't drawn any stock cups or consult the star charts, not even a Roiling Dragonstorm, so I'm just kind of looking for stuff. And Ezra just calls it there because I've just got too much value on the board, which is fair because looking at the top cards, I was going to get Dragonstorm into Omniscience and just kind of combo off. And we're on to game 2. So here I'm debating. So on sideboard, So in this matchup, we've gone game 2. I'm just debating some sideboard choices. I opt for the Tishana's Tidebinders here, mainly because they're really good at turning off his allies' abilities and allow me to get a fair bit of momentum. A lot of his stuff is trigger based, so being able to just like hit it feels really good. My Dispelling Exhales feel bad. I wanted to have some amount of counter magic, mainly to counter triggers or removal he might have. But because of what he's got with the Cavern of Souls, I don't really want to go heavy on the counter spells, because a lot of them times will just be dead in my hand. But being able to have the Spidey senses to be able to like counter his triggers, so if he brings in Tishana's to counter my abilities, I can counter him back. Also being able to bounce my stuff back is not awful either. But the double Tishana's kind of just feels good there. So off we go to game 2. Alright, so we're on to game 2. I'm on the draw. My hand looks pretty land heavy, but I do have Badger Mole Cubs, and that card feels real good. I think I have 2 of them in this hand, so I feel like I'm okay with this. I feel like it does some things, has some early guys, and I feel like I just go over top of him most of the time. He makes no turn 1 play, which is great for me. I'll take it. I play a tap land and I pass. His follow-up is just another dude, and I'm okay with that. I'm in no rush, and we're just gonna bounce it back, mainly just to buy me the tempo advantage and to do exactly what I did there, which is like smooth out my draws. That extra station would have just been awful in my hand. So here I am looking to just be able to get into good shape, because it looks like I've got Kona and a dragon. Whirling Dragonstorm, so I'm feeling in pretty solid positioning. So here I can play the Badger Mole Cub, animate the land, play the Whirling Dragonstorm, draw 2 cards, discard a card, doesn't matter, because I am just drawing all of the lands in the world, and we just pass back to my opponent. So here I don't have a whole lot going on, but all of my draws, if I hit a Meringue River Regent, are very live. I've got a fair bit of things he can do. And here he just plays a 3/3 that doesn't have a whole lot of abilities, and I just sort of say, yep, that's great. I'm okay with that. It's got some really cool interaction that it can cast allies from exile, which is super neat. It's a card more designed to pressure graveyard-based decks, so it's okay against me, but it's not great. And so here he punches me for 2. I top deck a Meringue and just living my best life. And here we're just going to play a Kona. We exert the Kona to the station. This one I don't care about tracking the station, because it doesn't matter. Meringues can just bounce his 2 biggest things back to his hand. I'll get the Whirling Dragonstorm back, and we just pass there. I left the blue up just to represent that I might have a counterspell in the form of Spider Senses, but I don't think I've got anything on this turn. But yeah, as you can see here, Meringue is just such a great card of just punishing my opponent by just resetting their whole board, and if he can't answer it, it's really hard to deal with it. So here he's going to play another Great Divide. He's gonna play another guy, so he just replays out his board, and I say, yep, that's great. And here I get to be super cheeky and draw a second Meringue, where I think I'm just cast both of them. I play a Dragonstorm, we discard, we play 4 for Consult the Star Charge, because I am just the greediest man who's ever existed. And I just take more card draw, and at this point is where the game starts kind of pulling away from him. So here I am just going to station my Kona. I could attack with it, but he's just going to trade and kill my guys. And now I'm just going to punch for 6. Second main, bounce both his dudes back again, draw a bunch of cards, and at this point the game's pretty locked up because he's not been able to provide any real pressure to me, and I'm able just to keep punching him with a 6/7 that flies, and that's just really hard to deal with. He doesn't have a lot of good clean answers. On his end, he could have something like, Aang to be able to bounce my stuff, which might have been a good plan here in his main phase. The challenge is that I just have so much board presence, and he's left with a 1/1 that just not a whole lot is going to work out for him here, I don't think. So he's just kind of debating what it is he wants to do, and just sort of seeing the power of even without the Omniscience, you can just. Meringue is such a hard card to deal with. Dragonstorm just to keep drawing you cards, to keep you always gassed up, and because you're playing Stock Up and Consult the Star Charts, you just have so many value plays you can make that it's just hard for your opponent to keep up with it. So here I've got another Badger, so I'm going to play another Badger, see if he responds to it. He doesn't. We're going to spend that one. We are going to... I could play another Dragon main phase here, but I don't really see much of a need to. Here we're gonna play Stock Up for 1 land. It seems really good, which is great because it means I find a Tishana's. You get to play around any sort of removal or answers you might have. Here I play my land for the turn, and we're just gonna send. So we don't want to lose the Badgers, so we just send. We send just a casual 2 6/7s and a 4/3. Do with it what you like. representing lethal. He plays Aang. I say, oh, cool. In response to the Aang, he's going to attempt to Earth. He's going to attempt to Windbend me. I'm going to tap one land to play a Tishana's to counter the trigger to make Aang a 2/2. Now he, most importantly, can't chump my 6/7 flyers, so he's taking 12 this turn regardless. And I've got a pretty wide board after that, so I think it's something where I think he debates a fair bit here of how to do his blocks. The initial challenge was he could double block on the Kona. If he does, he can't activate the ally's ability to sacrifice itself to give itself indestructible and still kill the Kona, and that means that my Kona will still trigger. So basically he has to put these two into Kona, take 12 and go to 2 and have a 2/3 in play versus my 2/2/2s, a 3/2, and a couple of 1/1s, and my 2/6/7s, you know, just because they're just hanging out there. So I think at this point it's pretty well over. It's just a matter of trying to figure out if there's a way to survive here, if he's got sort of something else he can cast. But the challenge is like he can either give me both of his creatures or he can risk another Kona activation, and he decides that he just doesn't want to give me a free activation there, because that's perfectly reasonable. Here we're going to play another Dragonstorm because we're going to have nothing better to do, discard another irrelevant land, and then at this point we pass turn, and I think it's just kind of, I don't think there's a line here that gets it that isn't just, because even if he blows up my field, I've got kind of just more value left after that. But yeah, it was a fun game. Allies are really strong, really well positioned, and we call it there. Alright, round 3, I won the die roll, so I'm on the play. I have a whole bunch of lands in my hand, but I do have the Kona and some ways to dig for it, so I keep it. He shows me that he's playing blue-black, which is my worst matchup, so I take 2 here, because I want to threaten that I've got something. He plays a Deep Cavern Bat, which I get rid of, which feels real good, and he punches me for 1. So feeling pretty okay about this. We play Badger Mole Cub, we animate one of our lands, and we just pass. We station, just in case it matters, because I can't block his flyers anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Here, I think he makes a bit of a play error. If he had a removal spell in his hand, I think he should have kept it up for that. And instead he opts to punch me for 3, which allows me to play my Kona here and just kind of absolutely go off with it. So I station the land, I punch him for 2 just because I'm a cheeky boy, and then we sort of after that we play Omniscience. I can cast all my stuff for free. I consult for 3 cards, find a Roiling Dragonstorm, play a Roiling Dragonstorm, draw 2 cards, and at a certain point he gets sick of me doing bullshit, and he just calls it there because I just have found too many cards for him to keep up with 2 1/1s in play. So I play the second Roiling Dragonstorm. That's not quite enough. I show him the Meringue, and that's where he calls it there. So quick game 1. I think if he had any removal, he should have not opted to tap out there, but he may just not have had anything. So, progressing his board state is a solid plan. This matchup, I feel really on the fence of. So as we go to sideboarding, you can tell that I don't really have a good idea of what I want to do. I'm eyeing Lost in the Maze. Tishana's always feels good. Spider Senses feel good. On the draw, the Dispelling Exhales feel awful. On the play there, they were really good because they let me counter the Deep Cavern Bats. Also an Unauthorized Exit here is really kind of questionable on my end because he's got so many things that have ETB effects that I don't want to bounce his stuff to buy myself time, and I don't think I'm going to really be able to resolve my counters. So something like Tishana's feels great here because Tishana's allows me to do sort of the shenanigan stuff of he activates Kaito, I bind to the Kaito trigger on trying to put in, and all of a sudden I've got that tempo back in my hand. But so we shuffle up and off to game 2. Alright, we are on game 2. I am on the draw. My sleeves are slippy, and I don't know if this is going to go well for me because, again, I don't like this matchup. I got to figure out a better sideboarding plan. He starts off with Swamp. I start with a Stap Land. Not a whole lot going on. He Deep Caverns and gets to see my hand full of stuff, which is very land heavy. He opts to take the Consult, which is interesting. I don't hate that for me. He punches me for 1. I don't much care. I think this is the one where it kind of gets away from me. So here we're going to name Wizards, so that way my Tishana's kind of gets a guarantee. He plays his own Tishana's, and we say that's cute. He shocks himself. He goes to swing with his guys. He's going to attempt a Kaito. I'm going to get to play my own Time Binder on the Kaito trigger. So he mistakenly puts it in the discard. It should just go back to his hand. We fix it later on, so it's not a big deal. However, I don't find much to do on my end, so we are opting for a stock up here. Yep, because gotta find something to do. So we find a Kona, and we have the Omni. I think the challenge is I don't know if I ever get to really resolve it after this point. So we try. I debate a long time here. I think I should probably take the Kona and the Badger Mole Cub. The Lost in the Maze is cute, but doesn't get me kind of where I want it to be. The challenge is I really kind of wanted that extra island there as well too to help out on some of my to make my like curve a little easier, but it is what it is. So here he plays a Siren, he triggers a Siren to draw a card because it's not a creature. I opt to block the Cecil because I'm not going to get any more value out of my Tishanas than I already have. So here I'm just kind of hoping that I can like resolve my stuff. So I play a Badger. Badger I think gets Tishana on the trigger for the make it a land, so I could opt to counter this here potentially, but I don't think it was worth it, so I just let it go by me. He swings again. I trade a Badger for Tishana. I feel pretty okay. I take 2. A lot of this is just like I just don't draw a whole lot of high impact stuff at the next couple of points of the game. So I could try to force a Kona here, but I don't really have a good way to back it up and protect it. And this is where we sort of discover that like the Kaito should be back in his hand. So we resolve it. We put it back in his hand. Life goes on. I try to convince him that he should use it to bounce his deep cavern so that he can, so I can get to play my consult again. He doesn't go for it, but we tried. So he activates the land. I Tishana's it here just to counter it. I could save it for the Kaito I know is coming, but you know I'd like him to tap out for the Kaito, just so I've got something I can kind of do with it. So here I Spider Sense it to counter the trigger, and we go into my turn. Again, I'm not drawing a whole lot here. I really need sort of an advantage card to be able to like find me the things I need to find. And here he top decked a Bitter End, so I'm just kind of dead in the water here. We play it out another turn or two, but there's not a whole lot of coming back from it for me because I just do not have enough card advantage and do not have the cards to advantage my way out. And he just sort of like overruns me. I think I top deck another land here and just kind of like like hate my life. So he draws, he plays this, and it's like, which Omniscience do you want? This one. And I draw another land. Which I don't really want to play just because I don't want him to, like, know that I'm empty, but I kind of have to. So, yeah, at this point, we just get run over, and we just go on to game 3. I think I concede in the next turn. Alright, I'm back on the play where I love to be. So here, let's open for a keepable 7. I got a whole bunch of lands, but yeah, seems good. Got Lost in the Maze to protect my combo, so we're going to do Badger, because Badger is my bro. And I think I get to have an uncontested Badger here and feel pretty good about it. Oh yeah, we put a turn 3 Meringue River Region into play. Feels pretty good. I try to convince him to take my Lost in the Maze, and again, he doesn't go for my trickery, which is unfortunate for me. So here, there's not a whole lot that matters. I don't know what I'm debating of here. That makes no sense. I should have just jammed the meringue and not really cared about it. So don't know why I did that, but I did. So here we're gonna get rid of, I assume, the Lost in the Maze, but maybe just man, I have like made some real weird choices on this turn. Oh, right, I had the green floating for the Badger Mole. Okay, I'm not insane. It's just this was a better play because I could play the Badger off it. Alright, cool. I'm just doing my thing. So he kills a Badger on his turn. I don't much care. That's fine. Yeah, because I couldn't turn 3 the meringue because I wanted to have the because I didn't have the Kona to do it. I wanted to play the value play, bounce some stuff, and provide pressure. So here I've got 10 power on the field. He's got nothing on the go. He duresses me. He hits a Roiling Dragonstorm, and he plays a Maya. I don't really mind Maya. Maya's fine. I play naming Beast, so that way I can play the Lost in the Maze to exert the Maya. I take 2 damage on this interaction, but it taps his guy, and I get to swing him for 10, and I'm gonna punch him for another 10 afterwards. So it's pretty dead here. Yeah. So pretty quick game 3. Yeah, and that's the matchup. Alright, so play 3 matches tonight. As you saw, I played against Allies and Blue-Black Midrange, which I hate that deck. I got super lucky game 1 that they tapped out early to try to punish me, and I just had the combo in hand, so that's the best way to take game one, is just get a little lucky. Game two, I flooded out a fair bit, but again, that's just part of the deck. Part of it is I think when I go into it, I want to start boarding out more of the combo side of it into more of a creature base. I think after board, I'm going to look at Sirax to sort of like have more games against like control and like removal engines where I move off the combo and just punch them with dudes, which also seems like a reasonable plan. But all in all, loving the deck. It's feeling really good. Hopefully it does well for me in this weekend in Lyon. I feel like I'm in a good spot with it. I feel like I'm playing it well. I feel like the sequencing is positive, and I feel like the Badger Moles are a huge inclusion to be able to give me that extra game plan to push damage forward, cheat on my lands, just have kind of like more pressure points with it, and that's felt really solid. As opposed to something like Lost in the Maze, which felt, it's been okay. Oftentimes, Lost in the Maze feels like if I can resolve a Lost in the Maze, I probably could have done something else. And I think that that's kind of the rub with it, is it doesn't feel as good as I want it to be. So I've tried it on my sideboard off and on. Haven't loved it. Going to cut it most likely for this weekend. But yeah, now's the plan to go through some sideboard choices and see what our final 60 is.